Yeah.
Hello, Rustum. I'm glad to have you on the show today in our Education Next podcast, where we invite amazing people who are doing amazing things. Um, and I find homeschooling, world schooling, and unschooling quite amazing because it is like a trend now. Um, and you have been practicing it, I think, from quite some time. So I will let you introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah. Thanks, Priyanka. Thanks for being here actually, and it's nice talking to you. And why we jumped actually, yeah, for a small self-introductory thing. Actually, I'm not related to education as such actually, but I
Hmm.
work as a consultant for an MNC, a Fortune 500,
Hmm.
especially in the area of communication, media, and technology.
Hmm.
So it's been actually, as you mentioned, it's long. If I remember, it's my first child when he was at his first standard. We thought about actually jumping into homeschooling. So he was in a traditional school system,
Hmm.
and yeah, that was the take, a chance we took. Actually, we took it for 1 year, not
Hmm.
for the coming long years of 5 or 6 years, but it's
Hmm.
for just for the 1 year. We want to test how it is, and yeah,
Hmm.
since then we are in that
Hmm.
track. Yeah.
That's superb. So, how you're in Kerala, right? If I
Yeah. Yeah,
so
we are
how
in Kerala, Kochi.
how common was it? When you started homeschooling, did you know people around you?
It's actually from before. There are actually the only I was also thinking in the same line.
Hmm.
I never met a person in physical sense who was
Hmm.
homeschooling, because
Hmm.
Kerala had an amazing different kind of a learning story
Hmm.
from actually Prakriti. I forgot the name actually. There is a two couples actually. They went to a place called Attapadi in Kerala. It's a very rural area. They both were school teachers. They
Hmm.
resigned the school, government school teachers. They resigned their job, and they
Hmm.
upbring their kids actually in a different way. They were not schooled there. So
Hmm.
that story is there. But I had this idea of homeschooling by reading other things, reading especially from Western point of view, reading things.
Hmm.
I had this for some times, but it was never a serious thing.
Hmm.
I sh- I want to pursue.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
and also my wife was actually too afraid of
Hmm.
getting into that, and so this homeschooling actually, two of the partners are not in the same boat, not aligned.
Correct.
No,
Hmm.
is not going to work actually. One person
Absolutely.
can't force the other person to jump
Hmm.
into the boat. Yeah,
Hmm. Actually, you're
that's
so
that's
right.
it.
It's such a life shift. No, it's not just about education, like you said. It's more than that. It becomes a part of you, a part of your life. And somehow, education was, with schools, it was separated from parents. It became a different thing. Life became a different thing, and they were going parallelly or not parallelly. But I think with homeschooling, what I see and when I meet a lot of parents, they are putting this together now. Don't you think that?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's more than the academic part, actually. With the character building part, the moral part, the connection with the kid and between the kids. I have actually four children, so between them, actually, the connection. So these all are involved there. But still, I would say actually, like homeschooling had its own risk. It's not an for everybody's cup of tea. It can't be. It is very much impossible to scale up to a larger audience. It's a very personal choice, and within homeschooling itself, as you mentioned in the beginning, there are a lot of strands, lot of categories like unschooling, travel schooling, things like that. So even school homeschooling, like parents have actually a strict syllabus, strict timetable. Even a room is set up as actually a classroom, and even sometimes the kids were taught by an external faculty. This is also some type of a homeschooling. So
Hmm.
homeschooling as such have a wide variety or vibrant
Hmm.
flavors inside that. Yeah.
Very true. No, it's such a personalized thing for parents, and that's what makes it, I think, unique about it. Because
uh,
one, because every family, like you say, is very different, right? Your family dynamics, my family dynamics can be very, very different. The kind of personality we have, the kind of people we are, we cannot have the same learning journey. And that's what happened in schools, right? We were trying to box kids in a classroom with the same idea. We were trying to tell them to return their learnings in the same way. Like everybody has to write an exam or everybody has to do a
Yeah.
presentation, and then somebody or the other struggles. So have
Yes.
your kids ever been to school, or they are completely unschooled? What you said,
No,
your
no.
first kid went to traditional school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my first kid and the second kid, because the thing here is I'm a dyslexic person, so I had actually a very bad experience from actually school
Hmm.
till my ninth standard. The point I cracked the traditional education system,
Hmm.
then actually then schools and everything becomes very much easy for me.
Hmm.
So I had is actually the fear, like actually if my
Hmm.
kids are like me, they
Hmm.
will have a difficult time in school. So that's actually I
Hmm.
had this urge for not sending them to school, because I still sometimes, even when schools invite me for talk, I when I enter the school, I have this fear actually. There's a
Hmm.
old fear came back
I
when I
know.
see a school. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That smell,
So
smell of the school
yeah,
as well.
yes.
I know many of
Even
us.
though later I
Hmm.
conquered the school, the system,
Hmm.
I cracked the system of school, and I had a
Hmm.
uh, good academic background, but
Hmm.
the till ninth standard it was not something like that. It was me getting marks in digits. This was a scenario. So but my wife was not confident on homeschooling, and she's a person like actually the best person in the school. Like for her
Hmm.
actually the school is some kind of a paradise.
Hmm.
So we went with school for the first child and the second child.
Hmm.
And when we with the third child, she herself decided
Hmm.
she doesn't want to go to school.
Hmm.
Okay, that was her own decision. And the elder ones actually, we thought actually taking 1 year, and
Hmm.
the third one actually decided herself, I don't want to go. I don't want to try school.
Wow.
Fourth
Hmm.
one also decided
Hmm.
she doesn't want to go try school.
Very
Yeah, that
interesting. So, how
yeah.
does their homeschooling day look like generally? I know every day
It's
must
like
be very different, but even if you can give
yes.
example of a day.
Yeah, but we have a general setup. Like actually, we follow some methodology called actually agile. Agile is a methodology used in software engineering to
Hmm.
develop products. So what we
Hmm.
use actually, we have a 2 week sprints. Every 2 weeks is a sprint for us. So we have this actually the stories they decide. It's
Hmm.
like actually they choosing what they want to learn.
Hmm.
Okay, so they have a to do. There is a board. Kanban board is simply a to do, doing, and a done. So these are
Hmm.
three boards there, and actually they each one of them put actually what they want to learn, which
Okay.
portion they want to learn.
So they have
So
to
with
declare
our
it,
help, it's
basically.
like actually we have a home meeting. Today was actually a planning meeting day. Today
Okay.
morning we had a planning meeting. So in the planning meeting, we together decide actually what we want to learn for the coming 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Sometimes they so sa- the positive part is actually like they will be super enthusiastic and self motivated to learn things, because
Hmm.
the things they choose was their decision. The
Hmm.
negative part is actually sometimes we want them to learn something and they may not be
Hmm.
picking it up. Yeah, we have
Correct.
one language.
Hmm.
Yeah, so things
Hmm.
like that actually happens. And then after the planning meeting, then the next day onwards, we all wake up around 4:30 in the morning. We are early morning family.
Hmm.
So around 4:30 we all wake up and we have a 15 minute stand up call. Like everybody sits in front of this Kanban board, and we talk like actually what we did yesterday and
Hmm.
what are we going to do today.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
if they want my help, they need to ask me rather than I going behind them, study math,
Hmm.
study physics, study chemistry.
Hmm.
Not nothing like that. It won't happen like that. If
Hmm.
they want my time, they need to actually sometimes they need to block my calendar and
Hmm.
request me the time slot. So it happens in that manner.
Hmm.
So usually my day like actually till 9:30, I will be mostly teaching them.
Hmm.
So
Basically you're coaching them, right, about how,
yes,
yeah, you're
yes. Rather
coaching.
than teaching, yeah, it's coaching. Yes,
You're
yes,
basically telling them their schedule, and like you said, they have to, it's, you're just following a very entrepreneurial sort of a setup where they are coming to you asking for help, and if they need uh, but
yeah.
is there a check-in, like have you been able to complete your goals or something like that that you.
Yeah, after the end of the 2 weeks, even in actually in a stand up, they have actually there is a doing list, right? So they pick the stick note from to
Hmm.
do it. So the next morning, they actually in
Hmm.
the meeting they would say actually, oh, I was able to complete this one, and I couldn't be able to complete this one,
Hmm.
not to us parents but to the whole team, because the
Hmm.
whole team decided to follow this plan. And if they are saying actually I couldn't do that because of this reason, because of my father was me, I was not available, sometimes this happens.
Hmm.
So this happened because of that, or
Hmm.
actually they didn't feel like doing it, they may be
Hmm.
doing it today. So
Correct.
this is a self accountable thing. So daily this
Hmm.
self accountability happens in our home, and at the
Hmm.
end of 2 weeks there is
Hmm.
a sprint review meeting. In the
Hmm.
review meeting, we will be discussing what went good, what went bad, what can be
Hmm.
improved,
Hmm.
yeah, things like that. Appreciations, everything happens in the
Hmm.
in the sprint review meeting. So this is
Wow.
actually the summary of how things works
Yeah, this it's
normally. Yeah,
fabulous. It's fabulous. It's like you're working like a, it's an office. That's how. And I
it's
think,
yeah, it's like office. Yeah,
mm.
yeah,
But
really.
I'm sure you will agree that kids these days, I can't comment about kids any other times, but what I
Yes,
see that now kids want to be more practical. They want to have a purposeful learning. What they can do
yeah,
with that, that question is there. Why am I learning this? That question is there, and they
yeah,
want to. Get some logical answer out of it. It's not just you learn this and that they will question you. And I think with
yeah.
they I don't know if it's the right way to say, but they want to be more adult like, right? Like what you are doing, you find a purpose, that's why you wake up in the morning and you do, right? Kids also need that purpose, don't you think that?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I agree with you on that.
Mm,
That actually, like kids, we should actually consider them as an individual, and they
mm,
have their own choices and they have their own dislikes
mm,
and likes.
mm,
If we want to introduce something, there is definitely there is a power as a parent is there. There is a power as a parent. You can
mm,
guide them. You can say something that is not that is wrong, but default condition is actually you should only use those power when
mm.
only when necessary.
Correct.
Otherwise always bring them and discuss with them and
Mm,
consider them as actually an adult and carry on explain things to them. Even when you want you use your power, use a reason why I am
mm,
using that, why I
mm,
said no to do that. Use
mm,
no's very low, very few times, but actually very, because this the problem with this power is actually if you overuse it,
mm.
kids will not value you, kids will not value your
Correct.
power.
Mm,
So
mm,
when you use this power as a
mm,
parent, when necessary you can do it, but otherwise actually give them the purpose, and also like make them with useful work, contribute to the family in a
mm,
useful way.
mm, mm,
That is one thing we started very early, as 2 years or 1.5 years. We we never actually we consider them as our member in the family, not as a
mm.
guest in our house. Guest in
Correct.
the house is not required. If Priyanka comes to my house, I won't
Mm,
ask you to actually clean the floor
mm,
or actually help me in the kitchen. I won't
mm,
ask you because you are the guest in the house. But kids are
mm.
not a guest. They are
Ah, so true.
living. So from 1 year onwards or 1.5 year onwards,
Mm.
they are part of the house and they are contributing.
That's amazing. And I think, like, we grew up, I remember my childhood was very much like a guest in the house. I was never asked to do anything.
Mm,
I
mm,
mean, that's why it never came to me that I should be involved in certain things. So if my mom was doing a festival, every work was done by my mom. I was never involved. So I was actually behaving like a guest, like
mm,
go stand in the ceremony, just fold your hands and stand, and you don't have to basically participate. But I think that is the reason I feel that there was kind of, I don't feel that belongingness that I have to participate here. And
yeah,
even that helps me involve my son into various things. And he should feel a part of it. When I'm cooking, it should not just be my job, right? I mean,
Yes.
because he's also going to eat the food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And
Uh, yeah. And
yeah,
trust me, Priyanka, kids in a smaller age, they want to contribute.
true.
They want to, the parents are the one actually say, oh, this is too old for you, you don't touch that, you don't.
Hmm,
Because
hmm,
if I remember, actually I was a small, when I was a small kid, no, I don't remember it. My mother used to tell the story, like actually I'm a same spoiled kid, but like you, so
hmm.
no difference between me and you. We both actually are guests in the house. My but my mother used to say actually,
Hmm,
in those days actually we don't have washing machines at house,
hmm,
and there is actually a stone and people used to wash like this.
correct.
I pick up the cloth
Hmm.
and I do this dopey thing, and what happened is actually this cloth goes down in behind me, and it fell in the ground. And again,
Ah,
again it comes because I'm very small actually. So
correct.
in a very small me want to chime in and help my mother. So
Hmm,
every child is actually programmed to help their parents. But
correct.
what did my mother did is like, oh, don't do that, don't do that. One thing is that the dress will get spoiled, or actually she
Hmm.
expect actually she doesn't expect me to help her, things like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So,
True,
but
true,
yeah,
absolutely true. And I think many parents now, I think millennials, I would say, are changing sort of things. The more I, research, I find that more parents are trying to make learning more life centric, not, uh, putting it in a different pedestal as if when you are learning, you're a different person in the house. No, you are just part of the house. Tomorrow, if you go to a boarding school or if you go to a, college or whatever, you will have to do everything. No,
yeah,
and those kids who are unable to do that, they kind of start, they suffer, they can't keep their rooms clean. And I think these are the basic things that, even if you have to do it again and again in the house, I think it's worth
mm,
doing that to help your
yeah,
kids understand the value, of staying clean and other things like that.
yeah.
um with your kids that you mentioned, they have this kind of a schedule, so do they have like projects, and what do they learn? Can you give some examples? Are these technical stuff, or what are these things? Some few examples if
Yeah,
you can share.
actually, my elder kid actually he works in a company as a developer,
Mm-hmm.
and he's actually he makes money.
Hmm.
He's actually 13-year-old, but he makes money.
Hmm.
So, and my so that's actually he have actually a very deep knowledge, very deep knowledge in the developmental scenario. Like actually, he can be said actually like a senior engineer level
Hmm.
knowledge in the in if you take actually Python, or if you take actually Flutter,
Hmm.
or the backend APIs, things like actually he works as a he contributed in that level too. And
Good.
my
Hmm.
second son actually he is good in designing,
Hmm.
so he also he works part time, or actually
Hmm.
both of them work part time, but the other one actually spends 4 hour work 4 to 5 hours per day. The second son actually he like 1 hour 2 hour actually he contributes as a designer.
Mhm.
And yeah, the third child she draws, and
Hmm.
fourth child is said to bring his passion out. She's exploring things, and they writes and reads also. So
Hmm.
uh, it's like actually they our policy is like actually till 12 years you can have your hobbies, but after 12 years actually it should should one thing should be your passion, one or two things should be your passion. So you should
Hmm.
actually really focus and make a living out of it.
Hmm. Mhm.
We also advocate that philosophy, like actually kids should be skilled to make a living. They may not choose that path. My
Hmm.
Isa may not actually, my elder kid may not actually choose the path of computer science in his future, but he should be skilled to make a living.
Correct. Hmm.
Yeah, so
Very
that's
important. Hmm.
yeah. So that's the level of project. And for the learning and things like that, we use actually a project-based learning also,
Hmm.
like the how the topic
Hmm. Hmm.
demands. Yeah,
Uh, if I'm not wrong, you're also offering services to other families, is it?
yeah. It's my wife's company actually.
Hmm.
What they does is actually Mariam. What Mariam does is actually, Mariam have a company called Kring. Kring
Hmm.
is a Kring dot app. Kring is actually a platform or an application for millennial parents,
Hmm.
working millennial families,
Hmm.
for diverse needs of them. They use
Correct.
AI to actually support the parents. What
Hmm.
should on each state, from planning a family to young adults, still 12-year
Hmm.
old, they actually support the parents
Hmm.
become successful in their parenting.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, so
That's
they
very
have
interesting.
psychologists, they
Hmm.
mentor the parents, they have an AI
Hmm.
chatbot that actually supports them in therapy.
Hmm.
So this is actually what they are doing.
Hmm. Do you also believe in involving your kids in your own business and things like that? Do they participate?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I told actually my younger my elder one actually he's a developer at her company.
Okay. Hmm.
So yeah, so and the younger one is also contributing there itself. So
Hmm.
they are yeah, they've been working there actually.
I think that's a
So
fantastic
yeah,
model. I think
yeah.
the business is in the house. The kids are learning business and skills within the house. It's safe, and they have mentors in the house. I think what else do you need? It's like a complete ecosystem of entrepreneurship happening there in your house.
Yeah.
And I think, how is the homeschooling community in Kerala? Do you
Uh,
meet them, or it's you are limited to
uh,
your own?
Yeah, we have occasion. I think one or two meets happened actually. There are multiple communities there. There are multiple styles of communities there. But
Hmm.
actually, and it's comparatively, it's very few, as we all know. So it's very. There are some WhatsApp groups. They support each other, things like that. But we have a very close family, very near neighbor also with homeschooling that have
Hmm.
a great benefit for us because actually they can uh, some of the subjects we share actually,
Hmm.
some subjects when we take an external help we share
Hmm.
the teacher, like
Hmm.
French, they're studying French, we all parents doesn't know French, so we take actually a support from an external faculty. So
Hmm.
these things actually we share. So there's one
Hmm.
family we are very close to, and few others actually we know like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But there's not like you're meeting very frequently. You just know people and you know when to talk to them, like that.
Yes,
Hmm.
that's
How,
yeah.
how do you feel about the homeschooling or world schooling? The way it's growing in India and abroad. What do you say about it?
Yeah, as I mentioned, actually, Priyanka, this is happening. Some parents are selecting, even when actually the parent are not homeschooling, they are sending the kids to a traditional school. Lot of things are happening in homeschooling
Hmm.
because the same physics, same maths, the parent is teaching them inside the house. So
Hmm.
the parent should be equipped in a some way to handle. So
Hmm.
all parents, it is not possible for, it's not a mass thing for actually parenting every kid in a homeschooling way, because it is quite impossible. Like you need that kind of a dedication, that kind of a parenting, that kind of a house, that kind of a neighborhood, because kids need to be
Hmm.
socialized. That is the one challenge I faced. We
Hmm.
even wrote those challenges and we addressed those challenges. So these things are, and they need play area,
Hmm.
they need outdoors. So
Hmm.
in especially a country like India having actually a majority fall below certain
Hmm.
privilege lines, it is impossible to, they need to go to traditional schools. But still, the way it's been treated inside the home can be improved. There is a
Hmm.
huge scope there actually.
Hmm.
Their
Hmm.
emotional well-being, their intellectual well-being, all can be better taken care of a parent if they have little bit of a training, little bit of an understanding.
Hmm.
So that's the one area. And there are parents actually nowadays moving to this ideas, different kind of thoughts. I think millennials are not much actually fear of making their kids engineers or doctors. That I
Correct.
think
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
they reach that level, they thought,
Hmm.
this is not a big thing. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think you're right. I mean, most of the parents who went into the tech world or who went and had their own piece of struggles, they realized that what I was struggling for, I'm not happy today. What am I doing? What race I'm,
Yeah.
but I think, and our parents didn't know, right? they had a very different life. They didn't know, and they
yeah,
say so. They thought that maybe being an engineer or doctor would solve not only financial problem but your status problem. But now we are
yeah,
not fighting for that status. I think I
yeah,
get to hear from a lot of parents that now it's not that idea of getting a huge status in your society. It's more than, like you said, finding your inner peace. Am I happy?
yeah.
Do I will I wake up tomorrow and be like, okay, I love this, I want to do it? Do I feel like that,
Yes,
or
yes,
I'm
yes.
just
Yeah,
going to just follow? Because even my parents still have that kind of a thing, that that child is doing this, you are not doing this. So
yeah,
that cannot be washed from their brains. But I think
yeah,
as long as you are happy even with your limited means, I think many people are like, you would have heard, staying
yeah,
in the farm, having a good life. They are happy, they
yeah,
are growing their food and stuff like that.
yeah,
Which I think we're all going back to that hunter gathering as a style of living,
yeah,
where, where did we come from? What is this soil?
yeah,
What is my food? And it's very important to understand those things. So, recently, homeschooling is like has taken quite a, there's quite an increase in number in US as well. It's just expanding. There are micro schools, there
yeah,
are
yeah,
private, where parents themselves are starting little communities around. And
yeah.
I think it's becoming more of a, very sought after thing now. But like you said, in
Yes, yes,
India we are quite scattered, and a couple of people are doing in their own capacities, and
yeah.
soon many people will start with the rise. And do you think with the rise of remote working, homeschooling will again start
Yeah.
spreading more? Do you think like that?
Yeah, in one way, homeschooling will be spreading. Definitely, parents are will decide differently.
Mm,
But the other way, actually, our traditional education system need to evolve, because
mm,
it's very out of order. It's actually way behind.
mm,
Actually, in many
mm,
cases, it's not personalized. One thing we need to be personalized is the
mm,
way we learn. So
mm,
in and even with actually, even nowadays, actually there is an issue called the boy child issue. But the boy
mm,
child issue is actually in Kerala, especially in Kerala. Actually, if you look at, because here a lot of women empowerment happened in Kerala. Kerala is
correct.
for that part actually
Mm,
very doing very good. So females, actually female in if you take any school principal, they will say actually the boys are not doing good.
mm,
They are actually not even not in, they are not involved in anything. They are not in education, not a, what's the reason? That's the many principal ask.
mm,
But so I just actually looked into thing actually, and I realized actually it's a problem where actually our education system highly tuned to the females, the girl child,
mm,
and boys actually required a different type of an approach in certain way.
mm,
Even their brain is actually 2 year late to grasp the capacity to read. And we
mm.
sit the boats, and boys actually have the capacity to throw something in a at that level they mature early. In
Correct,
language they
correct.
mature late. So but
Hmm.
we only test the skills of a girl child.
Absolutely. I think this is
Yeah,
something not many people think about it. But if you see, when your kids are in pre KG or whatever, you get complaints, especially from boys. They are
oh
naughty. They
yeah,
are all
that's
over
right.
the place.
Yeah,
They are disturbing others,
uh,
but you won't
yeah.
hear those complaints from girls. It happens.
Yes, and
Hmm,
schools gives actually school tuned to what actually how should a girl child perform, and that
hmm,
same standard is used to a
hmm,
boy. But
hmm,
when they actually grow old, these
hmm.
differences become irrelevant, and they all become same, and they have
Correct,
become equal.
correct.
It's only happen in a small.
Hmm,
But the problem there is actually there is the Pygmalion effect. The sign, it's called
hmm,
Pygmalion effect actually. Like when you from a smaller age you been
hmm,
appreciated, you been pointed as the best student,
hmm,
the chance of you succeeding is greater. And there
hmm,
is another effect actually which says about actually this when a child is actually being exposed as actually naughty, bad, not studious,
hmm,
or
hmm.
or like actually lazy, the
Hmm.
child identified himself as such. And
Correct.
that affects is actually this
Mm.
that build their
Mm.
future. So the boy is actually being trained from the childhood to become lazy.
Mm.
You should say in some.
Actually,
Yeah.
I can also tell you that not only boys, is- I have studied all my life in girls' school
Yeah.
from grade 1 to grade 10. And I can tell you that, it's a spectrum, right? Some people fall in that rule abiding kind of thing,
Mm,
and some
yeah.
girls were very out of that, would not follow any rules. And I was amongst them, right? So I was always,
Yeah.
the tagged as naughty or not listening or very uh, whatever you call, and undisciplined or indisciplined, whatever. So even if you see in girls school, you have a spectrum. Some will be listening to you, not being, some will be very different. And then again, the ones who would follow the rules were the ones who were, favored by the school. They would be appreciated more. And we started feeling from very early that I'm not fit for this, I'm not fit for this. Those kind of things were there. I will not be able to do this, I am not structured, I'm not organized, I don't listen to teachers. So it started coming in our brains quite early in our life that I am not fit for this, because you were always told that you were this person. So I think, like you said, even it's girls or boys, we, like you said, it is not personalized for every child.
Yes, yes, yes. That's the important one. Yeah, yeah. I just said actually, even this division itself gives a difference. So
Exactly,
each child have actually more differences. When you
exactly,
go to each,
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So you can't
Hmm.
actually that area that traditional school
Hmm.
need to improve. Traditional
Hmm.
need schools to grow actually
Hmm.
more there. Yeah, that's that kind of an improvement should happen in that area also. That's my
Hmm.
point.
But I think I really have to appreciate the way you have pitched in and you have taken charge. Your family has taken charge of, educating your kids. Like, it's like owning, you have owned it. How your family, and I think every family is different. So you have taken ownership of the dynamics. Every child reports what they are learning, and it has become a family thing, and which is very rare, I would say. But I think it's very important, because it not only teaches you the family bonds of, because generally, we are three siblings, okay, but we were never together, right? So we don't know much about each other, we don't know how to work
Mm,
together. And that also happened because we were always away from each other, and it happened in many families, because everybody
yeah,
goes to a different school, then you grow up, then you're in a college, then you're married, and you never get to meet.
yeah,
And then what's the point? But
yeah. That's a sad
anyways,
reality.
isn't it?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Mm. But thank you, Rustam. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
so much. It was like I was being in your class, and I look forward to learning more from you and you from your family.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thanks, Urinka.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here.
Thank-
You want to
Yeah.
say something
Thank
before we wrap up to families who
Yeah,
are? Hmm,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, these definitely families are actually the cornerstone in every
hmm,
society. So that's the importance we should, because we all work outside just for our family.
hmm,
So sometimes we forget that. That's the thing, right? So
hmm.
thanks, Priyanka. Thanks for having me here, having a
Hmm.
wonderful talk with you. Nice. Thank you very
Thank you,
much. Bye bye.
Rustam. See you
Yeah.
again. Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye.